This hopefully will be the last video for section 2.4. I have 3 more examples I'd like to go through as far as using the chain rule and the general power rule. So I'm going to just start off and rewrite this as we've been doing. Much easier again to take that derivative when we have rewritten the problem so it's not in a fraction form. So now that it's rewritten, I'm ready to take the derivative. The derivative, then I'm going to pretend this is my big X. I'm going to bring this out in front. I'm going to rewrite what's on the inside of the parentheses, lower it by 1, and take the derivative of what's inside. So just like the power rule or the product rule and the quotient rule, I have my little sayings as I'm going through the derivative just so that I make sure that I do it properly. So I brought that out in front, rewrote it, lowered it by 1, took the derivative of what's inside the parentheses. The last thing I'm going to do is just simplify this. So when I simplify it, I'll go ahead and say this is a negative. I'm getting that from right there. I'm going to put my 2t plus 3 out front. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on the bottom of the fraction, this last part, because it is to the negative second power. So I have t squared plus 3t minus 1 to the second power. Now I could have went ahead and distributed that negative through, but I'll leave it as it is. Number 26, we're just getting in the habit of rewriting everything. So we're going to say that we have 1/2 x squared. This time I have 16 minus x squared to the 1/2 power. Hopefully you've recognized that you have 2 x's being multiplied together, so we have to use product rule and chain rule at the same time. This is the first time we've seen this. So the derivative would end up being, first, you're going to hear me talking about the product rule. So first, there's the first part, times the derivative of the second. Now here's where the chain rule takes place because I have this big x. The 16 minus x squared is standing for a big X. I'm going to bring the 1/2 out front. I'm going to rewrite it, lower it by 1, and take the derivative of what's inside. So the derivative of the 16 minus x squared, that's a 0, and then I have a negative 2x. So there's a lot going on in that, taking the derivative of the second part. I'm going to continue on with my product rule. So I was first times the second. Now I'm going plus second times the derivative of the first. So the derivative of the first is just going to be 2 times 1/2, which is 1. And then I'll end up with x to the first power. You will see this simplified. How do we simplify this? Well, we're going to have to work through this slower, so there probably will be another video here. We're going to have 1/2 times 1/2 times negative 2x with this x squared. So let's go ahead and put those 3 parts together. That ends up being 1/4 times a negative 2, which would be a negative 1/2, x to the third power. This would go on the bottom, so this negative 1/2 power would go on the bottom of the fraction. And then I would add on this x square root of 16 minus x squared. Now I could see them making a common denominator and then adding those together, but I am not going to go ahead and do that at this time. I am going to have to continue on for my last example and one more final video for this day.